What's up, everybody? My name is Jason, and welcome to Small Biz. We approach 12 o'clock noon. Just outside of Atlanta, Georgia, last trade on MULN 452 with the Dow Jones Industrials off only 11 points. I thought the world was coming to an end. No, in fact, it's not. Before the end of today's video, I'm going to explain to you why the Dow's going to double. NASDAQ is going to triple in the next 10 to 12 years. What was the news with respect to MCOM and the subscription business? And how about that hire on MULN? And what major change are you going to notice from moi moving forward? All that and more coming right up. IWM going green, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Monday to you. I hope your week is off to a fantastic start. As you noticed inside of the Discord, it was quiet this morning. But if you give me the next 10 or 15 minutes, I'm going to explain to you why we're about to have flying cars and trips to Mars. And when it comes to the stock market, from here on out until 2035, as the third major secular bull market that began in 2009 continues to unfold. But before I get there, I want to start off by saying you're going to notice a bit of a change from me moving forward, both here and over on Twitter. As you've seen over the last couple of weeks, I've been purging. I've been getting all the you-know-who out of my system because I'm convinced, as a glass half full guy that can kind of see around corners, that I'm going to be a very valuable asset, not only to you and your family, but this world at large. Everywhere you look, doom and gloom. I'm here to tell you right now, this is the third major secular bull market in the last 100 years. There's an absolute bloody fucking fortune to be made. And in order for me to stay relevant and not be so mercilessly shadow banned, I got to clean up my act. So I will do a little bit of ranting and raving on Twitter, none of it inside of the Discord with respect to swearing or the politics. But if you notice, I take my foot off the gas and I focus on more of a positive, inspirational, uplifting message of which is really who I am and not so much of the rage that I can't control against the machine. Now you know why. There's nothing I can do to change the current power structure in the United States. There's nothing I can do to stop what's happening over in the Middle East. But I can give you, in the second half of this video, a bit of perspective as to what I think is actually going on and why it's actually bullish, not only for the stock market, but for humanity at large. But for those of you that don't want to hear my perspective on world affairs, let's cut to the chase. I think the MCOM subscription news is fantastic. In fact, one of you pointed out, I saw this on social media, Sal should have waited to come public until now, right? They went public 2 years ago. The stock's down 99.9%. He's been one of the biggest asinines I've ever seen in the history of NASDAQ. However, if you take into consideration, they're now skinnied down. They laid off 20% of their workforce. They've got probably $20+ million worth of cash after that 300 million shares of dilution. They've got the Soho store open, and the subscription business, from what we're hearing, even from people that live in the city, is going through the roof. So you saw they're going to expand into multiple locations, including Austin, Texas, and I believe Miami as well. If you read Carol Ross' new book, You'll Own Nothing. That's the world we're moving into. We're going to get out of ownership and even renting and into subscription. Mercedes-Benz announced, I think 2 months ago, you can get a subscription with their new cars. You're not going to own anything. There is going to be a social credit system. You will have to pay attention to the rules, the disinformation, and the hate speech, which the banks, along with the Federal Reserve, are going to be monitoring. That's the glass half empty side of the story. But the glass half full is, if you're tuned in with somebody like myself, who again can see around corners, can see the productivity gains, can see the AI impact, which is going to be bigger than the internet that Al Gore invented 30 years ago, the amount of money that we're going to make is absolutely extraordinary. In fact, in our first month, we have 6 people or thereabouts that have made over $100,000 net. How much are they paying me? $50. You paid me 50 to make 100 grand in 10 different winners, actually 13. Yes, we're 42-2 since April. I've had 2 losses, SHPH and MRIN. 42 wins. Anything I put a green circle on has been a fucking winner. Average gain 30%, average hold about a month. That's a fact. So if you're interested, you go to trysmallbiz.com. If you have a small business, you get premium. If you're among our fastest growing segment and you don't have a small biz, you get a Discord. 60-day money back guarantee. I just granted a gentleman one about an hour ago. He said we were too disorganized. Fair enough, but I've seen channels or servers, with 50 channels. We have 6, and we're going to have 2 or 3 educational how-to, helpful videos, etc. And that's it. So you got to give it a few weeks. You've got 2 months risk-free, no price hike until June of 2025. So once again, the news on MCOM and the subscription business fits right into what BlackRock and Warren Buffett and others are doing. They're buying up all these assets, houses, cars, boats, etc. And you will have subscriptions, even to e-scooters, e-bikes and scooters. So I don't know what's going to happen Thursday with the meeting with NASDAQ. Sal, you're going in there with the stock under a nickel. I don't know if you know something that we don't. You got a wink and a nod from somebody, but they're probably going to say, sorry, Charlie. So that means we're either going to go to the pink sheets or you are going to try to get us a vote on the reverse split. But before I go on to MULN and then the second half of this video, he only owns 5% of the company. They've diluted to the tune of $300 million. They can't go any higher without that proxy vote. He doesn't have the votes right now with only 5% ownership. A year ago when he had Hellbiz, he owned almost half the company. So if he has this vote right now, it's not going through, meaning there is going to be no reverse split right now, and there is going to be no 600 million shares of dilution. So unless you give us something that's really juicy, Sal, like, I don't know, $50 to $100 million of revenue like that, there's no fucking way that you're not only going to fail inside of NASDAQ most likely on Thursday, but get our shareholder approval, which probably means we're going to the pink sheet, ladies and gentlemen. So you better get that through your head in terms of a possibility. But I would say 50% chance at best that NASDAQ is going to let him sail through with the stock, like I said, at 0491. MULN, on the other hand, I think is going to go through. If I had to give odds of NASDAQ giving them an extension, the meeting is October 19th or 20th, 75%. The higher today, it's a home run. It's an A+. I don't give a fuck if you're a bull, you're a bear, you're short. They hired someone from within the current administration. It's a Green New Deal administration. This is a Green New Deal company. This is trying to get us off of oil and onto the electric grid. And they're bringing in someone that was a part of Elaine Cho's administration in terms of transportation. She's going to be able to help get a loan and or a grant, going to be able to help get through the airbag issue, which is arguably bigger than the EPA approval was. This, in my opinion, it looks like on the surface, an absolute home run. So even though the stock is vacillating on very light volume at 45 and change, I bought more at 44.70 and then again at 44.50 this morning. My average is down to 1.25. My average on MCOM is 12 cents. I was down 90% in both. And while they're my 2 biggest positions in terms of trading, I feel comfortable that MCOM could see 12 cents and then some. And yes, MULN, especially if they get the extension, could get cranking well above $1.25. So with that said, I'm still buying, I'm still bullish, and I hope you'll stick around until the end because I have an opinion on what's going on in the Middle East. Thank you. 40% at least just dropped off. If you're still here, I hope you want to make money and lots of it. When this video is over, go to trysmallbiz.com. Premium if you got a small biz. I'll promote you to 200,000 people. Discord if you don't. All right. Nothing happens by accident. They're trying to tell us in the fake news that this caught them off guard. If you actually fucking believe that, I've got a Golden Gate Bridge that I could sell you for about $100. We all know that it was not an accident. Everything, the hidden hand, the dark forces, which may in fact be non-human at this point, that happens behind the scenes is pre-planned. Don't fucking tell me that, and I won't use the names because I don't want to be shadow banned, that starts with H, the terror groups, could infiltrate and penetrate 15 different locations along that fence that had been non-violated or not violated for years and slaughter hundreds of people? I don't think so. So am I telling you that this was allowed to take place for some sinister, fucked up reason? You decide based on what I just told you. With that said, step back, guy who can see around corners. There is basically one country in this world that is sponsoring terror at this point. It starts with an I. They fund the H groups that do the terror. Saudi Arabia, whose name I will mention, has gotten out of that business. I know 9/11, right? You know, Osama this, I get it. But it's a whole different ball game there now. They're in the MMA. They've got LIV or LIV golf. They're building that new city that's going to rival anything you've seen in Dubai or anywhere around the world. BlackRock, Warren Buffett, all sorts of Western money to the tune of tens of soon to be hundreds of billions of dollars is going in there. And to their credit, not only are they getting out of the funding of the terror business, because if you pay attention to the Abraham Accord, which happened under Trump, and I know some of you hate to hear that, they're normalizing relations with Israel. And I'm not here again to take sides. It takes two to tango. Every country's got a right to defend themselves. That's all that needs to be said. I am someone who wants peace. I want peace for the Israelis and the Palestinians. The slaughter that we're witnessing on Twitter is horrific. The children, the kids at the rave, grandma, grandpa laying out in front of the house. It's horrific. It's terrible. And I force myself so that I can have the proper perspective to watch those videos. And it's just unimaginable to someone like yourself or perhaps me. But if you've been in a culture that for hundreds of years has been at war, and you were taught from this high, whether you're on this side of the fence or the other, to hate them and kill them and destroy them, it's no wonder it's taken us this fucking long to get to where we are. So what I believe, again, I'm trying to stay relevant and not get thrown off the internet. Based on what I know, I believe the United States, UK, and Saudi Arabia are behind most of what you're seeing right now. You're not going to hear that from the fake news. But I believe they're trying to exterminate the H groups to put a stranglehold on the I country. They're the last known sponsor of terror. And if you know anything about the I country, the average age there is 28 years old. They want nothing to do with the old guard that runs that country. They've tried to revolt and revolutionize numerous times in the last 5 or 10 years and been squashed. I believe, based on everything I know and see and feel, that the United States, our allies, including Saudi Arabia, which wants out of that business, they see that oil is going to be non-relevant 20, 30, 50 years from now. They're diversifying their risk away from that stuff that they used to fund years ago. It's a totally different ballgame there now. So I believe they're trying to isolate the I country. And one way they're going to do that is wipe out Gaza and wipe out the H group that's there and the other one that's in Lebanon. And to a large extent, they're going to succeed. And I'm not wishing death and demise on anyone. It's tragic. But I can see what's going on here. They want to wipe out the groups that the I country funds, and then they all come together, whether they call it the Abraham Accord, when you know who comes back in the next administration. It's all lining up to me. It's not going to be Joe Biden. It may not be Trump. It could be DeSantis or preferably both. That way they could run the show for 12 years. But what the fuck do I know? But I see everyone coming together. West, East, everywhere in between against the I country, which combined with the fact that we wipe out or largely decimate the terror groups that they fund, combined with the youth in that country that want change, it's going to be awfully hard for the to stay in power. In fact, if you look across the entire chessboard, Soros knocking on heaven's door. Yeah, his son, they say, is ruthless. I don't think so. Everyone knows Bill Gates is fucking full of shit. Every one of these motherfuckers that are one layer in front of the hidden hand, the R last name families that run the show, along with a few others you've probably never heard of, it's crumbling. More and more people are waking up to the truth. And so it's going to be messy over the next few years. My job is going to be to give you the glass half full. Because I'm telling you folks right now, I could go on for days, and I just lost a few more of you. That's fine. We are going to have flying cars and trips to Mars. The Four Seasons just took rights to the dark side of the moon in terms of building a hotel. There already may be stuff going on up there that we're not aware of. There's so many things going on. There's old countries or prior administrations that were knee-deep in corruption and killing and terrorism that are getting out of that. The amount of people in this world of 8 billion that are actually on a mission to destroy somebody else and their way of living is shrinking. It's fucking shrinking. More and more of the Middle East is coming together. More and more of the Arabs realize we don't want this anymore. It's a few thousand, maybe tens of thousands of people that are funded for the most part by one entity at this point. If they can wipe out the 2H terror groups, or at least decimate them, as they did with ISIS, for example, it's going to be awfully difficult if the entire world, especially the Arab world, comes together and says, look, this is not about you're wrong and we're right. This is about bringing an end to the madness that has destroyed this part of the world for centuries. It's enough. We have to get out of this business of killing and an eye for an eye. And there's enough young people that are connected to the internet, perhaps watching a Westerner like myself that says, you know what? This guy's not taking a side for, whoever lives in Gaza or Israel. I'm saying no. You got a right to defend yourself when someone attacks you the way they did. But enough's enough. Enough of the killing, enough of the children that are raised to hate and go after and want to commit genocide. Enough. More and more people are waking up. The world, and I don't want to get too esoteric, it's going from 3-dimensional to 4 and 5. There's actually, and I could talk about this for days, there's a bit of a polar shift. It happens every 26,000 years, Google it, where consciousness is expanding. And more people, even the wackos, right, that walked around with the face diaper, right, they had the hoodie on, the glasses, even they're waking up and they're saying, wait a second, we got duped. It was a real virus. It was a real lockdown. But the majority of the stuff that was shoved down our throat, even the biggest cynics in the world that I used to see at my local drugstore and grocery store, the masks are gone. The same people that were scared to death to talk to me now realize that there's a hidden hand that's in charge of everything that goes on in this world. And they have no respect for human life. But there's more and more people that are realizing together we can do more than separate. United we stand, divided we fall. Jews, Arabs, gay, straight, Democrats, independents, Republicans, it doesn't matter. Give me somebody who doesn't want a child educated and fed and clothed and tucked in at night. Give me somebody watching right now who doesn't want to have a fucking small business or a job if you got a Discord that you actually enjoy. And give me one person anywhere in the fucking world that doesn't want to retire with their health, their self-esteem, and their dignity intact so they can go throw a frisbee on the fucking beach with their grandkids. There isn't a single fucking one other than these assassins that are way less in terms of numbers than we are. This is a great time to be alive. There is an enormous amount of money to be made. So I'm going to spend a lot less time raging against the machine and coming in front of the camera with a positive, inspiring, glass half full message so that you and I make an absolute bloody fortune and have lots of fun for the next 10, 15 years and beyond. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, always remember that I love you and thanks for watching.